Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Microsoft Community Insights Podcast, where we share insights from community experts who's up to date in Microsoft. Today, we have a special topic called Dataverse MCP in Copilot Studio, and we have a special guest called Nathan Rose. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. So good to see you, Nicholas. Thanks so much for having me on. So,
No worries.
kia ora. Hello, everyone. I'm Nathan Rose. I am a Microsoft MVP. I'm a functional architect at HSO based here in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay. I'm curious to know I've never heard the job title functional architect. So, what do your day to day comprises of?
That's a great question. I was once asked how that's different from a non-functional architect, and I said,
Yeah.
well, non-functional architects don't do shit. But seriously, the idea is I come from a low-code background, right? So
Yeah.
I don't code the way some more traditional solution architects would. So I architect the solution, but very much from that functional point of view. So your background as a functional consultant. Yeah, so that's kind of the difference, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay, so anything that's functional working that needs to be working?
Yeah, so in terms of what the solution's going to do,
Yeah.
functionality, all of that, that's what I do. When
Yeah.
it comes down to kind of nitty gritty, I would make the decision whether we're going to do it with code or not. But then once we've decided, hey, we're going to achieve this by writing some C# or some JavaScript, I'm going to hand that off to a dev or a more technical architect to fulfill the requirement.
Okay, so your day-to-day comprises of like designing it, like the requirement
Yep.
within your team or leading team as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so today our theme of this episode is Dataverse in Copilot Studio. I know a couple of months ago it was released on Microsoft Ignite,
Yep.
Dataverse MCP. Do you want to just give us an introduction of what is Dataverse?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't come from the business applications background, Dataverse is that shared data layer that is really the magic behind what makes Dynamics 365 and Power Platform so powerful, because we don't have to go writing point-to-point integrations anymore. We just build apps on top of this shared data layer, and things like accounts and contacts and cases and all that good stuff can be shared between applications naturally without having to build integrations and service buses and things like we would have had to do in the past. So that's what Dataverse is. And then the product team have released Model Context Protocol for Dataverse to work in Copilot Studio. So you may have heard the term Model Context Protocol, MCP. It was kind of the hot topic of 2025. And you've probably heard it described as USB-C. The idea is that we can plug and play our large language models with our existing apps and data and things like that. And so Dataverse MCP makes it really easy to connect an agent in Copilot Studio to Dataverse, and it comes with a bunch of preset tools, things that will let you search, things that will let you update records, create records, and things like that. And you can do that all through the Dataverse MCP tool. Now, where it gets really cool is I literally just have to write instructions for my agent. So I've got agents that can do stuff in my system that all I have to do is write instructions. So I don't have to go doing a lot of config. I don't have to do coding or anything like that. So I'll give you an example. Last year, I demoed an agent for a government scenario. And this came from a real life scenario with clients that I'd worked with here in New Zealand. And a common scenario for government is they've got contact centers where they're using, say, Dynamics 365 customer service to manage cases. Say citizens are contacting them for questions, to fix things, to that type of thing. And you've got a common issue where you've got a lot more cases being created, people calling this contact center, than they have agents to deal with them. And when they've analyzed their data, they found that a lot of them can be answered from, a lot of the cases can be answered from existing knowledge that they have on their website, because a lot of government departments have really detailed websites.
Yeah.
People just haven't bothered to look. And the other thing is that there's an interesting subset of cases where you don't really need a human to respond to it. And this actually came out of, we were looking at how do we mask profanity. So somebody's having a really bad day and they've gone to the website and they've logged a case and they've used abusive language. And, you know, you don't want to have to read that all day, right? Nobody wants to have to wade through that. And so there's this subset of cases where somebody's just having a bad day and they just want to complain to somebody. They don't have a question that can be answered. There's not something that they actually want you to do. They just, they're just having a bad day and venting. I went to the swimming pool and the water was too cold, and so now I'm really grumpy and complaining about it. Okay, what do you expect us to do about that? And so what you can do with those is you can automatically generate an empathetic response to the person. You don't need a human in the loop doing that. So I built an agent that did these things, right? It would basically look at an incoming email request and it would determine, what does this person want? Do they have a question I can answer? Do they need to create a case? Maybe they're reporting something that's broken.
Yeah.
Or are they just having a bad day and complaining, right? And once it made that determination, it would either answer the question based on knowledge and send a response, create a case for the user, or just send an empathetic response to them. Now, the first iteration of this agent that I built pre-MCP had 5 different connectors that I had to create, as well as a knowledge source.
So are those custom connectors that you built on Dataverse?
So they were out of the box ones from Microsoft, but they were still, I was using Outlook and Dataverse connectors, but I still had to go configure all of these connectors individually, as well as give the agent instruction sets. With MCP, those 5 connectors and knowledge sources went down to 2 connectors. One MCP for Dataverse, one for Outlook. And so the agent became a lot simpler. I simply gave it an instruction set and said, this is what I want you to do. And then I hooked it up to Dataverse MCP. I hooked it up to Outlook MCP when it needed to email. And so it got a lot simpler. And so this is becoming increasingly low and no code with tools like MCP. So that's why this is really exciting.
Yeah, because more agents you add to it, the more it becomes like a multi-agent MCP. That's why.
Yeah. So MCP is a huge step forward in terms of giving our agents the ability to go solve problems. When I was playing with Dataverse MCP, just to give you an idea of how cool this is, I got a question on my YouTube channel about whether or not it could update choice columns. So you have a drop down on your form, and so I tried it out, and so I was playing with it and I tried to get it to do it, and the agent was, and I'm doing this in from memory, I think I was doing it in Claude Desktop with Dataverse MCP, and it said, okay, let me try to update this column. I couldn't do that. The data type is navcar max. Let me update and try to do that again. That didn't work. All right, let me look through other choice columns in the system because I've got access to all the tables. Let me look through other choice columns in the system so I can get an idea of how this data is formatted and try again. You were too lazy to set any of these in your dev system. So now I'm going to go to the SDK and see what I can learn. And long story short, it wasn't able to do it, but watching it attack the problem the way a human would, right? Let me try this. Let me look at relevant data. Let me look at the SDK. Like, this is the way you and I would try to solve this.
Yeah, it's quite smart. Yeah.
This is very, very cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like your assistant buddy. So not the person in job.
Exactly.
So have you been using Dataverse MCP as a POC or in production, or you just testing purposes now?
So it just went GA in November at Ignite. So it's still relatively early days. I have not used it in production yet. Most of pretty much everything I've built has been a POC.
Yeah. Yes.
But I would say for production scenarios, the ones that I would be looking at is the read and query capabilities are really good. And so where you've got, say, dynamic um, um, data sources where
Yeah.
you've got lots of tables perhaps being added, or you need to give the agent more flexibility to answer questions for users, then MCP is the way to go because it's going to figure out what to do based on what it knows. Whereas with a more traditional connector, you're going to say, I'm going to hook you up to cases and you can look at cases, but let's say it needs to look at something else. It needs to look at a contact or an account. If you haven't given it access to that, it can't do it. Whereas with MCP, the world's its oyster.
Okay. I take it you can hook up Dataverse MCP to other like what you mean cloud desktop, or does it work with Microsoft Foundry as well, or
It should do. I have not been hands-on with Foundry yet, so I'm very much lieutenant low code. So Copilot
yeah.
Studio is my jam. So I do need to get hands-on with Foundry just so I can sit the AB 100 exam that everybody has
Yeah.
been passing recently.
Yes.
So I do need to spend a bit of time with it. But you can use it in Cloud Desktop. You can use it in GitHub Copilot, Copilot Studio. And that's just the official one from Microsoft. There are lots of Dataverse MCP servers out there. You can go on GitHub. There's one that I'm told has 70 different tools. Yeah, and you could create your own. So if the this is not something I've tried yet, but you could go and create your own Dataverse MCP server to do exactly what you want it to do. I would say a word of caution, if you are downloading anything created by someone else, just be really careful. Make sure you're absolutely certain you know what that thing is doing before you hook it up to your data, because somebody could stick something in there where it's doing
Yeah.
something behind the scenes that you're not
Other,
aware of.
Otherwise, you just do it for internal uses in your company, like for HR or
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah,
So you say you want to show us like a preview of Dataverse MCP?
yeah. Let me take you through it. Let me share my screen.
Sure. It's just,
All
I think you
right.
just shared the desktop. Yeah, got it.
Yep. Cool. All right, so I've got a trial of Dynamics 365 sales set up. Now, let's go over here to Copilot Studio just to show you how easy it is to connect to Dataverse MCP. I've got a test agent down here. So this is just a blank agent. And what you're going to do to connect to it is you're going to come over here to Tools. And you're going to click Add a Tool. And if you select Model Context Protocol here, you can see that there's a bunch of MCP servers. So the list is growing by the day. So you can see there's some Dynamics 365 ones. Now, this might get a little confusing for people because the Dataverse MCP one can pretty much do anything that the Dynamics ones can because it has access to all the tables. The Dynamics ones have some additional capability around closing cases or working with leads, that type of thing. But you want to be careful about having both in an agent because I've found that they do get confused because Dataverse MCP can access any table the Dynamics one can. But you just choose your MCP server. This is the current one. There's one here, the first version of it that's been deprecated, so don't use it.
Okay.
And so you just choose that. And then literally all you do is click Add and Configure. It's going to add it. You don't have to do any config. So if you've worked with actions or connectors in Copilot Studio, you know that you add it and then you've got to write more instructions for it and configure it a bit. You don't have to do any of that with MCP. It's just available and it works. Now, one of the cool things that Microsoft has done is, let's see.
So it looks like once you got instruction correct, it is
Yeah.
like solid proof. It's the same like Copilot instruction.
Yeah, so let me, oh, hang on. I think I selected the wrong one. Let's go back to the one that I've added previously. So here under tools, once you've added it, this is a new feature from Microsoft that's very cool, is I can select what tools it's allowed to run. So by default, it's going to run all of them.
Yeah.
But you scroll down through this list, you can see that there's some that we probably don't want our agent to have access to, like deleting a record, deleting a table. We all know the meme about the fastest way to wake up is to drop a table in production. So we're going to turn those off, right? We don't want it to be able to do that. Otherwise, I'm reasonably happy with it. And so I am now able to get started and work with this. And I can say how many leads are in the system. And it's going to connect to MCP.
What other use cases do you normally would use it for aside from contact center?
Yep. So let me take you through a really cool one once this finishes running. Now you notice there's a bit of latency with it. So, and it said that there's 19 leads in the system. Let's just quickly validate that. And so you see how easy it is to just quickly connect to data with MCP and start working with it. So if we come over here to leads,
What are leads? Sorry, I'm kind of new to Dynamics.
oh, okay. And let's go to all leads. So a lead is like a sales lead in dynamic sales, and there's 19.
Okay.
So yeah. All right, let's talk about a cool kind of demo example. Now, this is one that I came up with in November. So I was speaking about MCP at a couple of events at the end of November, and you know how it is. You get really busy, and you wanna have a cool new demo, but yeah, I'm time poor and I'm a little lazy. So what I did was I started chatting with Copilot, and I said, "Hey, I need to demo Dataverse MCP. Give me some good ideas for a demo for an agent." And so it came back with some ideas and it said, "I think this idea is a good one." And I was like, "Awesome." And then I was like, "Also, I'm very lazy. Can you write the agent instructions for me?" And so it did. So I literally copy pasted them into my Copilot agent. I'll show you that in a second. And the demo was born. So that this agent became known as Sales Whisperer. It took more time to deploy the agent to Teams and M365 Copilot than it did to create it, because I literally had the LLM do everything for me, which is pretty cool. So this is a sales assistant for Dynamics, and it can help salespeople understand their pipeline, understand leads and opportunities in the system, and it's all based off of Dataverse MCP. Now, it's not foolproof. It will say, "Hey, I'll go like create a task," and it will say that it's done it, and then it doesn't do it. So there's some debugging that I need to do, but it's for a first draft, it's pretty cool. So I've deployed this to Teams and to M365 Copilot. And so I can interact with my data using Dataverse MCP. So I can say, which of my opportunities are most at risk? And so it's going to be using this agent in Copilot Studio, using Dataverse MCP, and it's going to start working out. Back here to my overview.
And we'll look at your instruction.
Yeah. So it's going to go through these. It's going to identify things like no recent activity, overdue task, missing stakeholders. And so it's come back with this list and a reason why. And so let's say create a prioritized list. Now, this is fairly similar to what you can do with the out-of-the-box Dynamics Sales Copilot. But what's really cool about this is I literally did this in under 5 minutes with an LLM and MCP. And so that's a quick example of what you can do with Dataverse MCP.
Okay, I take it if you were to make it into production, you will be just using multi-agent and more of a how securing it as well.
Yep. Yeah, so the security is based on, so it's all Azure Entra ID. And if we come over here to the tools, so this is going to be governed, it's going to be governed by the Graph API. So Copilot Studio knows who you are and what you're allowed to see and do. And then with the tool set, we come down here to, so it's using the end user credentials, meaning me, the logged in user, when I access it. Now, if I change it to maker provided credentials, it's going to possibly give it a higher level of access, because now in my demo system, I'm a global admin, so it's irrelevant. But if you think you've got someone in the IT department who's created an agent, and let's say they have sysadmin capabilities, and they choose this maker provided credentials, then potentially anybody with access to that agent has a similar level of access. So you do want to be careful about that when you're setting up MCP and other actions with your agents, just to make sure that you get that right. But it does respect your rights and privileges. So for example, I was playing with this last year, and I took away privileges to a table, and when I tried to access it with MCP, it said you can't do that. You don't have access to that table. So yeah, so it's got all of that security built into it, which is really nice.
But then this would be using your dynamic user permissions. So
it's
whatever permission dynamic you're using, Dynamics got, you would just use those?
Yeah, so it's based on your Dynamics user, it's based on your M365 user, it's all coming from the Graph API.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
it looks quite straightforward, but what other use case do you think could be useful for it, for using Dataverse MCP?
Yeah. I mean, I would really say the limit is your imagination at this point.
Yeah.
You can, yeah. I think, so the thing I've been challenging myself with is, if we come to this list of tools, I feel like I've been too deterministic with this, right? Go create the record, go look up the record. Where this gets really exciting is with things like, say, creating a table. Let's say it determines, hey, I need a table to keep track of, whatever it is you're asking, and for it to go and do that on the fly. That's where this starts to get really exciting. And so I've been kind of challenging myself to come up with some ideas. I'm still not there yet, but coming up with ideas for,
because you can have an agent. You can have an agent to perform the action, one agent to read only, and those things.
Yep.
And delete.
Yeah, so I did try with multi-agent late last year, and I was running into some issues with it. So I did have a demo. So not last year, year before last, 2024, we did a demo using semantic kernel in Copilot Studio to create basically we basically created a CPQ where you'd say I need
Yeah.
5 of these and 6 of those and that type of thing, and it would go and create an order for you with those things on it.
Yeah.
I was able to replicate it using MCP, but I was limited to a single product, and so I tried to break it into a multi-agent um, experience, but I was running into some difficulties with it. So it's still something I'm working on. But yeah, it does get really exciting when you think multi-agent and what you could do with it. You've got one that's going to determine this is what I need to do. One will go off and create records. One will go off and um, run prompts or do other things. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's some really exciting
Yeah,
things.
because you couldn't probably have one agent that only deletes stuff and to write stuff in production, those things, if you want to go that side.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you could definitely break it up, and I would recommend doing it because what I'm finding is my agent journey is very similar to my Power Automate journey. My early Power Automates were monolithic, right? These huge flows that did everything, and over time you learn to break it up into a more modular design. And I think with agents, we need a similar experience where you've got smaller pieces, smaller agents handling a piece of the puzzle. Because what you'll find in Copilot Studio is if you try to get it to do too much, you will start running up against generative AI orchestration limits.
Yeah. So yeah, don't do it like 4 agents at a time. Do it like maybe 1 or 2 or 3. Just keep
Yeah,
going up once you like understand what you're gonna do. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it just makes them easier to triage, to troubleshoot, and to update as time goes on.
that's great. Is there? Do you current? Do you at the moment? Do you just using Dataverse at your workplace as POC, or are you looking at something else in your
So,
role?
so Dataverse has been in production for quite some time. So we use Dataverse in all of our projects. Dataverse MCP is very new to being generally available, and so it's something that we are looking at with agents. But everything that I've built agent wise with Model Context Protocol is still a POC.
That's brilliant. And you can see how easily to learn about Dataverse MCP is just low code, drag and drop, and you even get like the agent to write the instruction for you. So all you need to do is just configure it and get it to
Yep,
working.
it's
So,
literally that easy. Yep.
so anyone can do that. So how can someone get access to Dynamics? Do they need a license, or they should have one once you got 365 license to play around with
So
it?
you do need a license, but you can set up a free trial. So if you just go and search on setting up a free trial for Dynamics 365, there's lots of options to do that. And then you can get started with Copilot Studio and Dataverse MCP and have a play with it.
So that the first MCP is that currently in Dynamics at the moment, or is it like a you have to? Is that like a preview form you have to sign up
Yep.
to get it
Yep.
there?
Nope. It's there. It's ready and available in Copilot Studio now.
Okay, brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah. So as aside from this episode, we love to to guests. So Nathan, so what aside from like doing your amazing community works, what do you normally do? Do you have any hobbies or?
Yeah, so I as you see behind me, I loved playing the piano. I've been playing for about 3 years now, and I've taught myself how to play piano, and that's kind of my thing that I do in my spare time. Um, Also very involved with my local church and do quite a lot of work there in my spare time as well. So yeah, that's pretty much me when I'm not doing my Power Platform thing.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So can you? So you know how to play the piano? You've been playing it for quite a long time, or you just
Just about three
started
years. So
learning?
yeah, it's something I've been. So you can learn Nicholas. You can learn anything on YouTube, and so that's literally how I learned.
Yeah.
And Yeah, so I just play chords. I don't do anything fancy, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. And I see you're wearing the MVP T-shirt because you're going to
Yep.
be at
So
MVP Summit.
the 2024 MVP Summit one. So
Oh, okay. There's a color one. Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
That's a good
Last
one.
year was gray. So
Okay.
yeah,
So,
interesting to see what
uh,
this year's one is.
yeah, next year should be good. Should be a good one. So, I hope to see you at Redmond, Nathan. So,
Yeah, I can't wait.
yeah. So, yeah. Thanks for joining this episode. So, hopefully, some you guys learn about how easily you can set up Dataverse MCP, and if you want to try it, you can just get a trial license and play around with it. Any question, you can just ping Nathan Rose on social media. Thank you. Bye.